Good morning and welcome to WKNI TV 25. Good news, Covington County, and I have the big cheese, the big waller, the boss man. The executive law enforcement officer of the biggest office in the county, and that is Sheriff Dennis Meeks. Sheriff, welcome to WKNI. Between the two of us, I think we'll snort, cough, hack, and sniff enough for everybody to enjoy themselves.
Yeah.
What weather?
I don't know, but it's the weather we've had the last 3 or 4 days. It's raining all of them. Been out in it. It's got me with the sniffles this morning. So.
It got me. How's the wife doing?
Doing good.
She is so pretty.
No, well, thank you.
Yeah, we got to talk to her. What did she find attractive about you is what I'd like to know.
I have no idea.
You're a politician.
Okay. Well, I wasn't then.
Well, okay.
I wasn't then.
You told her a story.
Yeah, it could have been.
Yeah, anyway, great wife, great family. Man, I'll tell you, it's good to see a family person behind an office, and she does have a lot to say with you, too.
Well, she is my #1 supporter, and of course the whole family, has always been behind me. So, and I couldn't have done it without them for sure.
Well, you do have some great extended family as well, and certainly enjoy being around them and talking to them when we can. Sheriff, you have got the most, what I would consider, other than the DA, District Attorney, one of the most public observed jobs in the community, plus the authority to change people's lives, okay, and in a positive or a negative manner. Mm-hmm. With that responsibility comes the respect and everything else that and it's an elected office. So you've got to have a delicate balance there. Tell me, Sheriff, if you don't mind, we're going to cover some current events real quick, but what is the most difficult thing for you in office to hold a balance on?
Oh, wow. I don't know. It's I guess, upholding the law. That's just, that's what we have to do. We don't make the laws. Our legislators make the laws. We just have to uphold the laws that they give us. But sometimes, too, you have to kind of look at like the whole situation, and even though this may apply, is this really what we want to do with this particular charge or whatever? For example, I'll give you a real quick one. We had a young lady who was arrested for a charge. It's probably been 3 or 4 weeks ago. Her and her husband both were arrested, and it was a misdemeanor charge. Nothing real big. It was a misdemeanor charge, but she really had no involvement with it. And so after we found out, the whole story, and by the way, it wasn't us that issued the warrant. We had served the warrant. But after we found out the whole story, then we were able to take care of her situation and get her out of jail and get those charges completely dropped. So, it's just you don't always want to, well, I don't know if that's the right word. You don't always have to go by exactly black and white.
And that's something you and I have talked about off camera before, is that there is some leniency, I'll use the word, leniency in trying to get further details, because sometimes it's not quite what it's made out to be.
Right. And that's what that was, in that particular case.
Right.
Yeah.
And but the extra look. We're going to go into some of the details of the Sheriff's Department with you, as far as Sheriff's Office with you, as we go along. Folks, look, okay, it is one of those things is like with Susan Harris. I keep calling her Susan Carpenter. I mean, I can't believe I do that. And with you, I keep saying department, and it's an office. It's an elected office, and I apologize.
That's fine.
I'd say shoot me, but you would. Next time you'll have a taser sitting over your lap. Go ahead and say that word. But do the dance, Eddie. But you're running again for office, and you have an opponent who's a former law enforcement officer, and in fact, part of your department at one time, and in DTF, Drug Task Force, and other things. Is it difficult for you to hold an office as elected by the public and perform your job? I mean, you've got to hold a balance there as well. You don't want to upset everybody, okay, because you want to get reelected again. So how hard is that balance?
Well, again, you know, our job is what it is. And so when the people hire me to do a job for them, then, you know, I just would hope that they would expect that we would do that job. You know, and it's something that I tell my guys all the time. You know, when we're talking and we're having meetings. Yeah, exactly.
We got it, don't we?
Yeah, I tell them, I say, you know, remember that, you know, it's not personal. You know, nothing is ever personal.
Right.
You know, you're just here to uphold the law, to do your job. And so that's what we do. And I hope, you know, people understand that. I hope they don't get mad at us for doing our job, because, you know, that's what we do. And if we didn't do it, then we wouldn't have a very good society to live in.
Well, you got to. The hardest thing would be, I guess, you know, would be arresting constituents, known voters and supporters of, and if they broke the law, you still have to enforce it.
That's right.
So
That's right.
I mean,
You know?
I ain't gonna vote for you no more. You know?
Well, you know, and
Is that ever taken in? I just got to ask, because I know people will sit there and say, "Well, that's taken in consideration." Is that ever taken in consideration of who they are?
no,
Okay.
no, it's not. You know, I mean, you know, somebody does something, you know, to be arrested, and again, lots of times, you know, it's something that somebody else actually signed the warrant. You know, it's nothing that we did. You know, we're just having to execute the warrants that are issued through the circuit clerk's office. So you know that's the majority of it. So you know, it's nothing really that we do. But again, you know, our job is our job. You know, that's what we're here to do.
Sheriff, if somebody assumes that there's favoritism given or anything as far as upholding the law, you mentioned it just a few moments ago about, you know, it comes through the clerk's office, usually by a warrant. There's no, you don't have a secret agenda, is what I'm going to go to, as far as, you know, hey, this guy really he didn't vote for me, he didn't support me, he had so and so signs up in the yard, and go after. I mean,
No.
and the reason I'm going there is that two people that ran for sheriff, okay, have been arrested and convicted after the races, and for you know, things that you know should have come out long before the election. You know what two I'm talking about?
Yeah, and I'm familiar, you know, with what you're talking about. You know, and again, on both of them, I don't know if it was timing or what it was on that. But again, yeah, I mean, no, it's nothing that was, you know,
It wasn't orchestrated.
No, it wasn't. I mean, well, if it had been orchestrated, then why not do it prior to the election? Not
I was
after the
going to
election.
say the better timing's before.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, I mean, it's just something that that happened, you know, and occurred, you know, after the election, and it's just one of those things.
How hard is it for you to be a family man and be the sheriff of this county?
Sometimes hard. I try not to take it home with me, but you know, it's hard not to.
Right.
You know, I do get phone calls at home, But I mean that's fine. You know, if somebody needs something, you know, give me a call. I might not get back that same day or the next day. You know, according on what's going on, where I'm at. But yeah, sometimes it is hard, and out there let you know that. But I do try to leave it at the back doorstep, not take it in the house with me.
I'd rather have you mad at me than your wife.
Yeah.
And I tell everybody out there that don't know that, you'd rather have Dennis upset with you than his beautiful wife, because she's a wonderful lady, but I would not want her mad at me.
Yeah. Well, you know, and you know, a lot of people, they just don't realize, you know, what is involved, what it consists of, and the stress too. But just what all goes along with the job. It's it's demanding. It's real.
You
demanding.
grew up here.
I did.
All right, and you're seeing people that you grew up with, their families, spent time with them, maybe even went to school with them, maybe even worked with them at times. You're either seeing them dead, in jail, or you're seeing the worst side of lives. You're not always seeing the better side.
Yeah.
They're not calling you to sit there and say, "Hey, guess what? My son graduated."
Right.
Okay, they're calling you and say, "Hey, my son's in jail." Okay, and how hard is that?
It's hard to see it, and because I wish we didn't have anybody in jail. And to be honest with you, we actually a lot of people may not know this, but we actually only deal with about half to 3/4 of 1% of the population. So, we do have a lot that goes on. We do have a lot of people in jail, but for the percentage,
a lot of times it's a recycling.
Well, that's exactly what it is. It's the same people. So we, percentage-wise, we don't deal with a large percentage of the population. It's just same ones over and over. But I have gotten calls a lot, on the weekend. Somebody's in jail, and how can we, get them out, especially if they want to do a property bond.
Right.
So, we kind of I'll go through that process with them and help them out. It may be that, lots of times I'll approve them to go ahead and be bonded, and then, if they have some paperwork that they need to bring up on a property bond or whatever, then we'll let them do that Monday morning. So, I certainly try to.
Not an easy job.
No, it's not at all.
You didn't have gray hair when you first started out.
Do I?
You did not have gray hair when you first started out.
Not as gray.
No, it wasn't. I remember. I worked with you over there.
Yeah.
And I'd sit there, and he had color in his hair.
Oh, when I first started?
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, when I first started, there wasn't any. No.
Yeah. So then, and kind of like the president. Okay, have you ever noticed? No matter who the president is, they go in with hair, of color, and then they come out,
8 years later.
8 years later with white hair. So you've
right.
8 years. You've gone through the presidency.
Yeah.
All right. This is a question that people want to ask, and I'm being straight up with you. Okay. At one time, you were a Democrat in this community. Mm-hmm. You've run as a Democrat in the past. Mm-hmm. Last year before last, I think you and several others changed over to the Republican Party, including some judges. And
there were 9.
9 people.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what was it that made you change from Democrat after? I believe you were a lifelong Democrat, weren't you?
Well, looking at the Democratic Party. And some of the things that they were for and stood for just wasn't in line with what I stood for, what I believed.
So the Republican conservative side came into play.
Yeah. the Democrats seem to be, a lot more liberal, and which I'm not.
Lots of people are saying the third party, the two-party thing is a dead horse now because both Republicans have upset people as well as the Democrats. So
that's right. I can't agree with that.
We're not real happy with either party, and I'm hearing scuttlebutt out there about a third party, independent party. Could it work in a county level or state race or city race? What do you think?
Well, I tell you what, I have always said that to me, county level, it would not bother me at all if the county level performed like the municipalities, if they didn't run on parties.
Nonpartisan.
Yeah, and leave the leave the partisanship to state and national level. But as of right now, that's not the law. That's not the way that it's done. So we have to operate under what we have. But it would not bother me at all if the county level was nonpartisan.
Tea Party. What do you? I have to throw it out there. There's a lot of people that stood up on the Tea Party 4 years ago, and now they're kind of distancing themselves from it.
Yeah, I never really got involved a lot. With
I never saw you at the meetings
Tea Party.
very much. Yeah.
They had some good ideas, and some ideas that was brought out, and then of course like anything. You get some over on the left hand side and some over on the right hand side, and they do, lots of times they just don't stay focused. But
it sounds like all the parties.
Well, yeah, it does. There are some there's some great people, some good people on both sides. Republican and Democrat. I just wish that they could work together a little better. But I don't have any control over that.
Let's go to your office, and not the office, but the offices of sheriff. And you oversee how many employees?
53.
53, and you also have the jail as a department. How many different departments you got? You got investigation?
Well, oh wow. Well, we have the patrol, the road patrol. There's 13 guys on the road, 4 investigators. We have 2 assigned to the drug task force, 3 at the courthouse for courthouse security, 4 school resource officers.
Excuse me.
And then we have 24, I think 24 at the jail.
The jail is normally a sheriff's Achilles heel. And past sheriffs before you seem to have had great difficulty with that department. You made it look like a walk through the park over there since you've been in office. And I'm using that.
Well, I'm glad it looks like that.
Well, I'm saying it because it used to be a walk out the door.
Yeah.
Okay.
I understand. That just goes back to the guys and ladies that work over there. Preston does a good job as jail administrator. One thing, they make sure that they do perimeter checks, and stuff like that. It's just stuff that has to be done. Now, saying that, I hope nothing happens today. But
It usually happens the day of or day before the election.
But no, they just they do a good job. We put a lot of different policies in place that we need to do this, and this, and they follow those, and things just seem to work. But I mean, it's they really have to work hard at it, because that's a hard job over there.
Oh, I know.
I mean, you've been there,
Yeah.
so it's a real
I've been
hard
there as
job.
an
but
employee, not as a...
but yeah, they do a good job, and you know, I'm proud of them.
Well, Sheriff, you made a statement that you hope nothing happens. That's the reality of it, though.
Yeah.
It's, you got to take the human X factor, okay, involved, because it is humans that are over there. Not
Yeah.
saying they're bad, but they're still human. And you've got people that are in there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, looking for ways, I used to say, to create an issue, okay? And whether it be harassing you or causing, you know, trouble with the guard, or picking on somebody, or just get the attention, because,
Right.
you know, it's pretty boring sitting in jail, and you can only play dominoes and cards for so long. So it becomes a process, and then escape is also on a lot of them's mind, because they want to get out and go home. They want to get out and go see family and their children. So that's always on their mind. So, you know, you have officers that are in there that are trained, okay? I believe all of them are trained now, aren't they?
Well, we have, since you mentioned it, we have some that have not gone through the school, but as a matter of fact, we will be hosting a jail school, I think it's in May, April or maybe April or May.
And that's another thing I want to cover with you too. That's new, is hosting. And I'll come back to that when we get through with all the human factors involved here. But the officers there have a responsibility, and most are trained. And if they're not trained, they're with trained personnel. And they could still make a mistake, an error, or omit, or something happens. But the technology that you have over that jail should back them up. And you've gone through what extent since you've been in office to change that?
Wow. Well, when we came into office, one of the first things that was very noticeable was the individual cell doors didn't lock. So that was addressed very quickly.
There's no true meaning to the word lockdown.
Well, there is now.
No, I mean, when I was there and when you took office, yeah.
Yeah. There is now, though. But we did that. And just, you know, you're talking about the technology, the cameras. We put up several additional cameras in, you know, in spots that, you know, where there should have been a camera. You just, it was just a dead spot that you know, you couldn't see, and it would have been easily to have done something. So, you know, we put up several cameras. The computer side of it, you know, you have to constantly stay on top of that, because there's so much information, and the files are, you know, are so large that, you know, we constantly have to upgrade, you know, our computers to stay up. 72-hour hearings, we do that by video now. You know, before, you know, somebody had 72-hour hearings, you know, we was having to transport them from the jail to the courthouse, back and forth. So we put video 72-hour hearings in the jails that links the jail to the courthouse. So they just stand in front of the camera like we are here, and the circuit clerk office can see them from the courthouse, and so that cut down that transporting. You know, because
Which is exposure.
well, you know, anytime you bring them outside of the jail, then there's the potential for something to happen. So the less that they're brought outside of the jail and get transported, then the less likely something to occur.
The technology that you're talking about is, you know, the high-tech stuff. Some of the low-tech security has been revamped over there as well, such as the Constantine wire and things like that around the jail. I remember going over there and saying, boy, I could just jump right off, get out, climb up on the roof and come right over. Can't do that today.
We added a lot. Yeah, because, there was like one strand, that went across the top, and it was some of the older type wire. They had come out with a new type that was more, intertwined, I guess you say, and we put a lot of that up, additional from the top, coming down probably 4 to 5 feet. So, it's not that you get to the top and then you just have to deal with that one strand. You got 4 feet you got to go through. So it's just this, to me, the little stuff like that can really make a big difference.
Well, I've got to say, because that's what made people know who I was, is back in the day when that jail was just a walk in, walk out. Yeah, and you've certainly changed that, ruined my day, but but I'm thankful, and I'm sure the citizens are thankful as well.
Yeah.
Sheriff, you talked about the training that goes on at the department, and especially over at the jail. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, we try to keep our folks, trained and certified. Sometimes we go through a rash where we may lose 1, 2, 3 people, in a short period of time, so we have to hire right back. And so all of a sudden, now we've got 3 people, that really aren't certified. But we do have good shift sergeants over there that if a new person comes on their shift, they'll take them, under their wing, and they'll show them, okay, this is what we do, this is how we do it. So they get some real good on-the-job training. But we started about maybe 5 years ago, hosting, maybe 6 years, 5 years ago, hosting the correction schools. They come out of Jefferson County, from the Jefferson County Sheriff's Office. That they come down and they teach. It's a 2-week, 80-hour jail school, and you get certified in the proper procedures, of how to handle inmates, and really it's a wide, broad scope of things that they go through. While they're here, they also get OC spray certified.
Yeah, I know what that is.
And they get taser certified.
No, thank you.
So it's a real good school. And when they go through that 80 hours and go back to their respective agencies, then they're ready to go to work.
So instead of us having to ship people out, pay for meals and transportation and motels,
we keep our people here.
And let everybody else come in and go to our motels, our restaurants.
That's right. That's right.
Okay, I got it.
Yep.
So, all right, now let's go ahead and talk about some current events. Okay, real quick. We just went through one of the worst ice storms I know in your career.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
And I think in lots of folks that live here's lifetimes. Just last month, and
Right.
again, as we speak, it's going on up north.
Yeah.
And I'll just say it, we were not prepared for it. You weren't prepared for it. The city wasn't prepared for it. Nobody was prepared for it, because this is not something that you put into your line item budget of having taken care of.
Yeah.
How much did this cost the sheriff's department, do you think? The reason I'm going here is because the county commission just passed a resolution trying to get, help to pay for all the extra things that happened. How much do you think effort did y'all put in cost-wise?
It's hard to say.
There was an enormous amount of power or time.
Yeah, but we had some extra guys, that come out, you know, of course, me and David, you know, we're not. It didn't cost us extra, so you know, we were out. But our normal shift guys, you know, they were out, and really I told them, you know, just take it easy, be careful. Of course, we had some reserves, posse members. You know, they came out and helped us a lot. So
the office didn't really incur a lot.
No, we really didn't. Looking at it, you know, we didn't incur, you know, a lot of extra overtime or funds, because you know we had our reserves and posses that come out and help us. Plus, you know, we just ran normal shifts. You know, tried to get people, you know, to stay off the roads. But to be honest with you, you know, we didn't incur a lot of overtime.
You didn't have to incur double time or overtime for employees at the jail. You were able to get.
Yeah, they you know, again, we have to run the jail. Right. I mean, we had no choice.
Right.
So the people getting off work, the people, you know, coming to work, you know, they took their time, drove slow and easy, and none of our people, you know.
And none of your equipment was damaged by the weather as well. No vehicles damaged. No.
We had we had one vehicle that just kind of, he slid off the road kind of in the ditch, and he just couldn't get traction. So, you know, we had to get somebody to come and just like get him back up on the road. But I mean, there was no damage to the vehicle. He just couldn't get traction and go.
And the day that everything was breaking loose, I kept talking to you. You were down someplace called Deborah Hill.
Yeah. Yeah.
How do you think those guys were prepared? They were coming.
Wow. No, you know, those 18-wheelers that was trying to come up that hill, you know, there was a lot of ice on the road. Yeah. And, you know, and they'd start up that grade, and when those tires ever broke, you know, and they lost traction, that's all she wrote. You know, I mean, that's where they were.
They were down at the bottom of the hill. And what baffled me, Sheriff, during this whole thing, the state roads were closed, county roads were closed, okay, and city roads were closed. Why were these people even on the road?
I don't know. Trying to get to their destination, you know. So.
Well, I mean, I understand, but I mean, I drove a truck over the road for a few years, and I had to sit in a place in Virginia in a truck stop for 5 days during a blizzard. Yeah. And yeah, my load was on the truck, but you know, but boy, up there when they close the road.
Yeah, well, you know, and again, I mean, if they're, you know, especially the guys driving the truck, I mean, you know, they could have been, no telling where, the day before or 2 days before, you know, and unless they were listening to the local stations, you know, they're really keeping up with what was going on, which they might not have, you know, then they didn't know where things were happening. So, you know, it could have been just a simple matter that they came from somewhere who wasn't having a problem, and they got here, and we did have it. They didn't know it. So.
Right. Well, state highways had the signs on them saying closed. So
I understand.
I'm not picking on the truck drivers. I was amazed at the manpower and the dangers that were involved, and people not paying attention to all the warnings that your office put out, and the city put out, and the state put out. You know, stay off the roads. You saw an incident out here, I'm sure, that we had on videotape, interviewing the mayor live on the air, in over the telephone, and the young man just having fun, you know, getting behind the camera, waving, and then busted his head, you know, right there on camera.
Wow.
And I guess you didn't see that.
No, I didn't.
But you know, he's okay now. I want everybody to know that he's okay, from what we heard. But you know,
that ice is nothing to play with.
It wasn't, and I mean, you know, I was out there slipping and sliding all over the place, and nobody got it on camera. But when I went over to the fire department to get the fire chief to come on over and do an interview, buddy, let me tell you something. I busted it, and
I never missed that.
Well, you know, there is video, and there are pictures of me running off the road into a ditch. Do you know that exists? Yeah. Yeah, that didn't make YouTube yet, but I'm sure it will.
Compliments of
No, actually, some state troopers and a deputy. So
Really?
yeah. So yeah, I was pulling up on an accident scene, and the grass is about this high, and I guess one of those cut across ditches was there, and I couldn't see it. I was driving along trying to get off the road so I could go out, and next thing I know, the whole van just went poof, and everybody just it was one of these numbers with their cameras. And I'm like, no. It was like, really, did that just happen? And they said, oh no, we're not going to put it on YouTube. And I heard somebody did, but I'm on YouTube too, being a fool. So it happens to everybody. But Sheriff, going back now to the office of sheriff, you are up for election. There's only one other candidate, Chris Byrd, running against you as a Republican. And so in June, the race will be over. Either you or him will win, and the how do you call it? The village has spoken. Okay, as they say, on Survivor. What cut do you think it takes to be a sheriff? What type of person?
Wow.
And I'm not saying anything about your opponent. I'm just saying, what do you think it takes to be a sheriff? I mean, here you are. We know who Dennis Meeks is. Okay, we've seen him. To be a sheriff, it takes something different than being just a police officer. And I'm not belittling anybody, but it's a lot of responsibility.
It is. And one of the things that I have, that I've always talked about, and I have it on my signs. If you notice my sign, it says experience matters. The reason I put that on there is I'm the only sheriff to ever, not just in the just since I've been running, but if you start looking back, I'm the only sheriff who's worked in every division within the sheriff's office. I started in the jail as a dispatcher and corrections officer, went on the road as a patrolman, then I was promoted into investigations. Then I was chief investigator prior to being chief deputy, and then I was elected sheriff. So, for example, we was talking off air about the incident that we had late yesterday afternoon.
Right.
One of our newer investigators was the first one on the scene, and we really wasn't sure what we had at the time, so we called 2 more to come help him. But while they were en route, having been in investigations and worked several of those particular cases, then I just kind of got with him, and we started looking at some stuff, started taking some photos. We did some interviews with him, helped him with some interviews while the other 2 investigators was getting there. So it, stuff that happens at the jail. Well, I've worked at the jail.
Been there, done that. Got the T-shirt.
So, just working in all those areas, that's a tremendous asset for me. When something comes up, I say, well, yeah, I understand. I understand. Other than that, you just have to, like we was talking about a while ago, not always be, what's the word I'm looking for? Gung-ho, maybe.
Knee jerk.
And just always
emotional.
You don't always want to do everything, and you don't have to always do everything exactly what it says in that book, in that code book. You have discretion. Sometimes you have to use your discretion and use a lot of common sense. That is a big part of it. Just use good common sense and say, well, if it was me, if I was in that situation, you know, how would I want them to handle it for me? You know, and now sometimes we can't do that. Sometimes we just have to do our job and say, okay, this is what happened. This is what applies, and this is what we have to do. But you have to be able to balance, like you said, balance that out. Know when you have to do something, and know when you can use discretion.
Okay, now, I'm going to bring something up and I'll put a smile on your face, I'm sure. Airplane.
Mm-hmm.
There was a big discussion about that here just a few weeks ago with the county commissioners and trying to get an airplane and purchase one and use it for the county for search and rescue and those type of things. Then a few years back, we have an airplane in the hangar already that is, I guess, the sheriff's department's, okay, because I know the pilot club had something to do with it.
Right.
And that was for the same reasons. And so can you explain to us what, because all of a sudden the airplane disappeared.
What all that was about?
Yes, please, if you don't mind. I mean, I left you alone on that because, you know.
It's okay. We've had a plane for like 5 years. So, I mean, that's nothing new. We've had one for 5 years. We was able to get that because we saw a need to lots of times, and it may be hard to explain, to some people that is just, if they're not in our business, I guess is the easiest way to say it. But lots of times we need to be in the air. It's a lot easier to be in the air and see what's down here, because if the road is way out here and something is in here that we need to look at, lots of times we can't get to it.
Right.
But we can certainly fly over it and see what we need to see. So the airplane has been a tremendous asset to us in that regard. Now the reason I was looking at a different airplane is over this 5-year period, I've seen pros and cons with the one that we have. And the biggest reason that I was looking at another one is because the one we have, it takes about 25 minutes, give or take, somewhere in that neighborhood, longer to get it in the air than it would be the particular one I was looking at.
Because it's a glider and the wings have to be dropped down.
Well, you have to fold the wings. There's a different pre-flight inspection that you have to go through, and it just takes a little longer to do that. It has served us well, but this other particular aircraft that we were looking at, we could get it in the air 20-25 minutes quicker than what we can, the one we have. And according to the situation, 20 to 25 minutes could mean somebody's life.
And it's also a mid-wing aircraft, which means you have to look through the wing in order to see things below you.
Well, the one we have,
right?
Yeah, the one we have is what they call a low wing,
right,
which sits below you, and so if you are looking at something, you have to really bank it up to look, which is again we can do that, but the one we were looking at is what they call a high wing. So therefore, you just fly over and you can look out the window.
Now, I can remember just a few years ago that there was an elderly lady that walked away from her home just up here north of Gant, and I believe she had Alzheimer's or something like that. And we had one of the county helicopters from outside the area, and you had an officer of reserve up in the helicopter at the time, and there's lots of man hours and gas and people searching and canines searching all over the area to find this lady. And it was a very hot day, very sweltering day. It was one of the hottest days we had of the year. And the helicopter went up, and I think it was not even 5 minutes in the air, and they located her. Unfortunately, she had already expired. I think you remember the case.
I know exactly what you're talking about. And the thing about that, and again, you know, we're not real sure of time frame, but once that aircraft got here, again, within 5 minutes she was located. But on the bad part about that was it did have to come from another county, and from the time we called them to the time they got here, it was a little over an hour because you know we had to contact them. They had to go to their airport. They had to get everything prepared and get it ready. Then they had to fly over here. So we're talking a little over an hour for them to get here. Once they got here, she was spotted, you know, very, very quickly. So again, I'm the time frame of her death, you know, I'm not sure, but
it could have been possibly another way.
It could have been just as easily that you know we run out to the airport, get in the plane, and there it is. So yeah, you know, I understand that there's a lot of people that that wonder why, you know, do we want an aircraft? You know, why do we need an aircraft?
Well, you're a certified pilot, and you're able to fly fixed-wing aircraft, and that's why we're looking at fixed-wing aircraft. So the sheriff, and you have also a reserve deputy or auxiliary.
Three reserves.
Three reserves that are certified pilots. So, you know, you've got 4 opportunities for somebody to be available to get into an aircraft and go up and do what needs to be done.
That's right.
And that, I commend you on that, because that's an awful lot of personnel to have available to fly that aircraft. And a lot of times you get to a county or something or that they have that and they've got one. And, you know, if the sheriff's on vacation, hello.
Yeah.
And around here, military experience and sheriffs or elected officials are prior military helicopter pilots or involved in the helicopter field. So there's the helicopter fixation in South Alabama. But anyway, let's go ahead and, so is that going to come up again? I mean, are you looking to get an airplane to get in here, or can we do like a private fundraising thing to get it in? What would it take to get the airplane? I mean, the county commission obviously is not in favor of it.
Well, and that was the problem with this. The aircraft that we have now, any piece of equipment has to be titled in through the county commission. You know, just like all of our vehicles.
Right.
They're not titled through the sheriff's office. They're titled through the county commission. The aircraft that we have now is titled through county commission. Well, it is sheriff's office, county commission. But you know, they have never you know, had to spend any money on it. They've never put any money into it at all. And all I was asking them to do in this particular case was we were you know, we were going to take their name off of this one and put it on this one. They still we're not going to have any money invested. You know, we weren't asking them.
Where was the money coming from
to
purchase it?
From the law enforcement fund.
Okay, which is one of those other funds that will...
This is the sheriff's discretionary fund.
So no cost to the taxpayers?
No.
Insurance?
That was all paid. That was paid through there. So, you know, the county commission would have had no outlay whatsoever. I was just asking them to title it for me, is all. So
be careful. They may put a time clock in your office.
Yeah, they might.
Joke.
Yeah.
But
anyway, so, you know, but they chose not to do that. And on the other hand, though, they haven't chose to take their name. They haven't chose to take their name off of the one that we have now. So I'm not sure really what's going on, with that particular situation.
Well, Sheriff, we have talked to your opponent, Chris Byrd, had him on, and we never, we don't want to get into the political advertisement type thing. This is not a political ad. This is talking to you as a person, getting the information out to the community. So this is not a paid political ad. But we do offer, as we have in the past, the opportunity for the candidates to sit down on the air and take in questions from the community and have, I call it debate. I have yet to see a debate in any of the ones that we've done. It's been usually a cordial, talk back and forth. I was looking at the old debate that you came on the first time you ran for office back in the day, and boy, have you changed.
For the better, I hope.
Well, you got less, you had less gray hair, and you certainly have become more comfortable in front of the camera, I'll say that, because I'll never forget, I thought you were going to jump up and run out the door, sitting over, not afraid of your candidates up there, but that camera, boy, that was something for you. And you've come a long way on that. But anything you want to tell our viewers out there that makes a difference in just, whatever.
Well, there was one thing that I was really expecting you to bring it up, and you haven't. So I'll go ahead and bring it up for you, because it is something that I'd like to get out there. Everybody always talks about the third term.
Oh, yeah. I didn't want to, because that's not true.
Everybody talks about the third term. If a sheriff gets 3 terms as sheriff, that he can get retirement. He can retire or whatever. So I'd like to explain that just a little bit.
Sure, go ahead.
That was back when Covington County was under the supernumeral retirement system. And of course, it wasn't just that a sheriff got 3 terms. He had to have a certain number of years in law enforcement. Age played a factor into it, and 3 terms as sheriff. And then he was able to retire. Kind of like, I guess it's kind of the drop program.
Okay.
The drop program is maybe kind of a spinoff on supernumerary, because a lot of people, a lot of state employees, got in the drop program.
Right.
And was able to retire early. But the supernumeral retirement was actually repealed in the primary election of 1998.
Okay.
So Covington County is not under that retirement anymore. Miss Janice Hart, I think she was one that got under it, and so she's able, to
I'm going to miss her
to be under it because they didn't pull it back, but after it was repealed in 1998, then nobody else got under it. So I'm just like anybody else that's working. I'm under.
So you need 4 terms in order to retire as a sheriff.
Do I know?
You need 4 terms to retire as sheriff.
I actually will to get 25 years in as a
because it takes 21.
Retirement.
Well, state of Florida, it takes 21 to be, in law enforcement or firefighting to get that extra percentage in retirement, and I think it's the same here now, isn't it?
So I'm just like anybody else that's working.
I'll question that.
I have to, to be able to retire. So just to let everybody know, this third term is
the other thing that's going on about the third term is that nobody ever makes it the third term as sheriff, and that's a fallacy.
Well, actually, if they'll look back in Covington County history, there have been probably a half a dozen sheriffs who actually did have 3 terms as sheriff. Now, it has been 52 years since a sheriff has had 3 terms. But there have been sheriffs in the past in Covington County who has.
Well, that's why I didn't bring it up, because that wasn't a true factor. So,
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
No, but I did want to get that out. That,
Yeah, I appreciate
that,
that.
Just because if I win, I won't be able to retire after 3 terms because I'm not under that supernumerary retirement. I'm under regular state retirement.
well, Sheriff, we appreciate you always willing to come on WKNI.
Thank you.
We certainly wish you well in the upcoming election. And just, folks, if you need to get up with him, need to talk to him, just give him a call. He's very available. And
Numbers in the phone book.
Numbers in the phone. Is it?
Absolutely.
I never knew that. I would have called you at home.
Numbers in the phone book.
What time's dinner?
Wow.
See? Uh-huh.
According on where we're at, what we're doing that particular day. It may be 6 o'clock or it may be 9:30.
Well, that's true too. You're out and about. Well, there's people that get in office, such as you, and they stay in office. What I mean is, stay in office.
Yeah.
Okay, in the office, and you get out and about in
I
serving the
try
community.
to.
Well,
I don't get out and about as much as I would like, but there's a lot to do in the office too that we have to take care of.
Can I say one thing before we go? We haven't mentioned him
I'm
since
not
we've
sure.
been here.
I'm not
But
sure.
is it true that you had that Teddy Ray Motley, okay, was very distraught over you not getting the airplane? He was out at the airport
Yeah.
practicing, going, "Boss, the plane, boss, the plane."
You're bad. You are bad.
Love you, Teddy.
Oh, gracious.
Thank you, Sheriff.
Thank you.
Sheriff Dennis Meeks, our current incumbent sheriff, and he does have an opponent, Chris Bird, that is running against him, and the election is June 6th?
June 3rd.
June 3rd. Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
June 3rd, and you'll have an opportunity to see both of them here on WKNI in the near future, setting up to where they'll both be sitting on camera together, talking and answering your questions, and we'll be talking about that soon. Sheriff, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Your beautiful wife, Mrs. Meeks. Thank you. And she's a great lady. You're
She
lucky.
is.
I mean, we're both lucky. We got some great women. While on camera,
Uh-oh.
what are you doing for Mrs. Meeks tomorrow?
I can't tell you.
Yeah,
It'll be a
they made
surprise.
me say it
It'll be a
yesterday.
surprise.
Okay.
If I say it, then she's gonna know.
Is it true you bought her a diamond that big?
I can't say.
Yeah, I heard about that.
No, that one, it got dropped off the end of the Titanic, remember?
Folks, remember, keep it real. Keep God in it. God bless you. We love you. Thank you for tuning in to Good News Covington County with Sheriff Dennis Meeks.